But talking about, Luke, what is going to be our perfect offseason, it really starts with the draft. That's the next time that the Magic can make any type of move. All right, I've got to go back to my Twitter feed here because we posted a few days ago just kind of what are some of the scenarios that I'm working through in my mind. So ideally in this draft, I would love to walk away with Cam Whitmore at 6. I just love his size, athleticism. I love his upside. I love the spirit in which he plays the game. I love his defensive versatility. I think he could be really valuable on that end. And then Grady Dick at 11. Another guy who I like the upside, and I like some of the other things that he does besides the shooting, some of the passing, the hustle plays, like the offensive rebounding, can defend a little bit. I think if you come away from the draft with Cam Whitmore and Grady Dick, 6 and 11, I think that's an absolute freaking home run. I think even if you end up having to trade up, I'm pulling up the draft order right now to remind myself of the teams that are in front of us. Like if I'm looking at Utah or I'm looking at Dallas, Gary Harris is a guy that we've talked about a lot, played really, really well for the Magic last year. But in terms of being a veteran and kind of fitting the timeline of this team, I don't want to say we're getting into like Evan Fournier or Terrence Ross territory where it's like every time we talk about this guy, we're talking about them being traded at the deadline. But in my opinion, Gary Harris, who's going to be going into, he's going to be an expiring after this year, I don't see him being here long term, especially if the draft goes the way that I want it to, the way that we just talked about. So you're going to have to move Gary Harris at some point, whether that's the trade deadline or potentially draft night. The Dallas Mavericks, again, the Magic are sitting at 11. The Dallas Mavericks are sitting there at 10. And it's no secret that the Dallas Mavericks are looking to get closer to contention and looking to improve their roster to, improve basically overnight. Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, if they're able to re-sign him, like you need good veteran talent on that team. And I could see Dallas saying, you know what, we're at 10. We'll move back if you're willing to give us 11 and Gary Harris. Now, depends on his value around the league. My guess is you could get more for Gary Harris than just moving up from 11 to 10. If you're looking to package your pick to move up, you could definitely do better than that just to move up a spot. But if they're bent on bringing in multiple wings or multiple guards, and you want to develop those guys in any kind of real way, Gary Harris is a roadblock in that example. Like if we're talking about Cam Whitmore and Grady Dick, to develop those guys, you're going to have to take away minutes from Gary Harris. I'm not even convinced that this is a great idea, but if you are dead set on drafting Grady Dick, I don't see him being there at 11. Now, going back to what I said on Twitter, this is kind of how I'm feeling at 6. These are the guys that I'm good with drafting. Cam Whitmore, Grady Dick, Jarris Walker, Asar Thompson, and Taylor Hendricks. Now, based off of what we do at 6, I think there's a few different ways that you can go at 11. If you don't draft a shooter at 6, if you go more of, let's say, Asar Thompson or Jarris Walker, who is a guy who can grow into a shooter but isn't really there quite yet, or if they go really crazy and they go like Anthony Black, which I'm really hoping they don't at 6. I think just the value is not there for Anthony Black at 6. If we don't take shooting, you have to take Grady Dick if he's there at 11, which I think is not likely. And if not, a guy that a lot of people in the Magic community have been talking about, someone that we talked to Keandre about, Jordan Hawkins out of UConn. The more film that I watch on this kid, like shooter. Jordan Hawkins would be a fantastic pick for the Magic at 6 if they haven't already improved the shooting on the team. And if they do take shooting at 6, again, I'm still good with Grady Dick if he's there. I'm still good with Jordan Hawkins being there. Derek Lively is a guy who is kind of rising up draft boards, the center out of Duke. And then a guy like Keontae George. If you're looking to take another swing on upside with a guy like Keontae George at 11, I wouldn't love it as much as some of those other picks, but I would understand that. But again, this pod is really for like our dream scenario. For me, it's Cam Whitmore at 6, Grady Dick at 11 at the draft.
Okay. I'm going to kind of ride with what I've been saying, which is I want the Magic to make one first round pick this year. So at 6, whether that's Taylor Hendricks or Whitmore, I'm good with either of them. Even obviously Oscar Thompson. I've seen a lot of him lately. A lot. Like way more than I felt like I was seeing prior to the lottery. I'm seeing a lot of him. So I wouldn't mind it just for the pure athleticism and raw talent that seems to be there. But my heart really wants shooters. I've made it no secret. We've talked about it. You said your piece on the draft, and I think that like where you're coming from is where a lot of Magic fans are, which is I think there's a lot of ways you can go, and I don't know that I'll be particularly upset because you've already got your guys anyway on this team. You're wanting to just get pieces around it that can blossom or right away complement the pieces you've already got.
Let's go